Yay. Folks, as you arrive, welcome, greetings. Welcome to our birthday bash. And as you arrive, I'm Lisa. Aro, if you would mind, add your county to your name. You can rename yourself and add the name of your county. So we'll all know where we're from. Oh, this is so fun.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. How's it going?
Good.
That's Ryan. Oh, hello. Greetings to you.
Howdy, howdy.
I don't know that I've met you before, Ryan, but I sure know your name. Aro here. We're very excited by your candidacy.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm excited. A big supporter of ranked choice voting in Washington State.
Fantastic. Let's see, Ben, how are we doing at making co-hosts? Have we seen, Cassie, are you able to make Kit a co-host?
I think we're doing good, but Cassie.
And she stepped away for a minute.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I'm not able to share screen yet.
So
I actually cannot make her a co-host from what I can see.
Ooh.
Lisa, it actually might be because you're sharing your screen. I don't know if I can make a co-host right now.
If you can make her a co-host, okay.
Yeah, because it's not
Well,
showing. If you stop sharing your screen for a second.
I wonder if I can. Well, I don't know if I want to stop sharing my screen right now, because this is such a beautiful welcome, don't you think, everybody?
Is.
Hi, Betsy.
It is.
Hi.
Oh, no, I was just wondering.
As we gather.
Can I listen now?
So Cassie, your theory is that my screen sharing is preventing making other people co-hosts, huh?
Yes. Because I could before you screen shared.
We are going to have an interlude where I'm going to stop screen sharing before Kit needs that.
Okay. I can make her a co-host.
Okay.
at that
I'll
We
do
can
that.
switch over then.
We're good.
Good.
Hello, people.
Hello.
Hello. So many faces.
Tried to get the banner visible. There it is.
Hey, look
Everybody.
at that.
That's
great.
awesome.
Not exactly solid, but here also. Right here. There we go. There we go.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. We've been planning for this so long, and it's just fun to see you all arriving. As you arrive, if you would be good enough to rename yourself so that you have your county name also with you.
Rename ourselves with the county name.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
Brett Mullen King
My video
for
is on.
Seattle, for example.
Some people say, well, you can never do, full what you want to do until they're.
You never can. There's always something keeping you from doing what you want to do. It's true.
And it's so fun to just be able to chat as we all arrive in this space, but eventually we will need to remind folks to mute themselves if they have background stuff going.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
All good.
What are you listening
Excited
to?
to have you here.
It's some music that I was making, actually.
Cool.
Oops, excuse me, I just, oops. Lisa, just, when I click, it goes. Keith, you submitted one of our nominations, I think.
I did for the platypus,
The
yeah.
platypus, we loved that one.
I'm glad.
Yeah. We had so many great nominations.
And Becky will be our speaker tonight. Just
Oh, great.
I don't know if you
Becky.
need to know that, but she's
Oh,
our
that's
Thurston.
fun.
Our Thurston rep.
Oh my goodness, all these people. We've met in so many places. Yolanda Miller, it's nice to have you here tonight. Welcome. And have we got our esteemed MC yet on the call? We do. There he is. All right. Colin Cole.
Wasn't sure if we
Greetings
should give
to
it
you.
another minute for folks straggling in later.
Sure,
Get going.
sure. And we have Charlie on the call. Welcome, brand new Seattleite. Charlie Thompson is here.
Thanks.
Great.
Man.
Alice Wold, it's so nice to see you too. Thank you for coming. And look at Becky. My gosh, people are dressing up too. It's just really fun. Becky, you look very, very great.
Ooh,
Love
great
it.
fall.
I think we've probably reached enough of a critical mass that we can start going here, and then we can, pause if we need to as folks arrive. So, hello everyone, welcome here. Just a quick thing to start us off. It would be great if, unless you are speaking, you made sure that you were muted so we weren't picking up background noise on your end of the computer. That all said, hello everyone. My name is Colin Cole. I am FairVote Washington's legislative director, and I'm really stoked to welcome you all here. To get going, what I would like to welcome everyone to do is to go near the upper right portion of your Zoom and switch the view from speaker, side-by-side speaker to side-by-side gallery. And you can then, using a little bar in the middle, you can sort of adjust the sides of the slideshow, and then you can see everybody who's in the room, or at least a lot of us. You'll probably actually have to scroll a couple times to see everyone, but getting a chance to sort of get the scope of everyone who's here will be important for some of just the activity of team building and simulating that we're in a room together. So first is I want to give a couple shout outs to our chapter leads. If you are a chapter lead here for FairVote Washington, would you mind just like waving, putting up your hand for a little bit? Keep it up for a little bit so as folks are looking around, they can see who you are. That's awesome. You all are a big part of helping us have the infrastructure that we need to run and to move. So thank you for being here. Liz is pointing out that, yeah, if you want, we can pause the screen share and then you can have the gallery view, even if you didn't switch.
We will pause in just a moment.
So if you are relatively new to FairVote Washington, and so by that I will say, if this is your first year, it's your first birthday for FairVote Washington, why don't you also put up your hand? Let's get a good idea for how much our organization has grown in the last year. That's incredible. It seems like more than half of our members here are new. So amazing. Thank you all for being here. This might be get a smaller result, but if you have been able to vote using ranked choice voting before in some other city or state or country, can you put up your hand? I'm curious about that. Let's see. I see two. Liz and Charlotte. Anyone else? I'm kind of having to scroll through myself here. So just two of us, but we might ask you two later on to reflect sort of on your experiences. And what about candidates? People who have either run for office or currently hold office. Do we have any of those folks in the room? If so, I would love to see your hand put up.
Do something different.
Let's see. Sharon Hurwitz. Welcome. Ryan Palmetier up in San Juan. Hello, welcome to you as well. I think, is that it for now? We are expecting a few others to pop in, so we'll shout them out as they join. But again, thank you for being here today. So that's enough to get you an idea for how much we've grown just over the last year. I'm going to hand over the reins now to one of FairVote Washington's board members, George Chung. George is currently the director of More Equitable Democracy, a racial justice organization that works at the heart of electoral reform. And he previously worked as a program officer at the Joyce Foundation at Washington's Win-Win, where he served as executive director, and he's the founder of Equal Rights Washington, Washington State's first LGBT statewide advocacy organization. George, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Want to just give a shout back out to Colin, who is my colleague and one of the founders of FairVote Washington. So thank you for all of your work to get this all started for us to be together today. I'm just going to spend a few minutes just to give a little bit of reflection of where we are at this moment and the work that we are doing. So this is called Back to the Future, which speaking with someone else on the board today, she had not actually seen the movie, but I will make sure that, I'm sorry, she's not on the board, so I'm not pointing at anyone who is formerly from the board. And anyway, moving on. So let's go back in time 150 years ago. Following the American Civil War, we had a period of reckoning with our racist policies and structures. We call this period Reconstruction, roughly 1863 to 1877. What happened during this period? One really interesting thing, and I mentioned this partly because I lived in Illinois for a while. During this time, in 1870, there was an Illinois Constitutional Convention. And so this was done at a time where, during this Reconstruction period, they were thinking about how do we reorganize our state to make sure that we have the type of modern constitution that we need. And one of the major points of contention was about the electoral system. That Illinois was divided north-south along the same lines as the Mason-Dixon line, that the South really sympathized with the Confederacy and the North was really aligned with the Union. And so they argued that creating a system of single-member districts with winner-take-all elections would in fact exacerbate polarization in that state, that we would essentially have one party that dominated the North and another party that dominated the South. They wouldn't compromise, and whoever won the most seats that would just ram through exactly what they wanted. Sound familiar, maybe? One of the main drivers of this constitution was a person by the name of Joseph Medill. He ended up founding the Chicago Tribune. He argued that we needed to be intentional about our electoral system in order for us to have a workable state legislature that would actually rise to the occasion in this post-slavery period to really think into the future about the Illinois that they wanted to see. And so instead of embracing single-member districts with winner-take-all elections, they actually did something very different. They used a system of semi-proportional representation. And the way that they did it was each state house district had 3 members, and they used cumulative voting to elect those members. So you had 3 votes. It's similar as dot-style voting. You could give 1 vote each to 3 candidates, all 3 votes to 1 candidate, or 1.5 to 2 candidates. The intent was that it allowed for the minority, whether they be people of color, but primarily partisan minorities, to get some level of representation in that state legislative district. And that's exactly what happened. For over 100 years, they had this system of semi-proportional representation whereby the major party in that district would win 2 seats and the minor party would win 1 seat, which meant that the 2 caucuses between the 2 major parties were actually really close to one another. Because they had, Democrats in one part of the state and Republicans in another part of the state. And so instead of a completely geography-based political party system, they had caucuses that were willing to negotiate and come up with really important solutions to the challenges that lied ahead of them. This stayed in place for over 100 years and there were a number of attempts to repeal it. They were all beaten back until the 5th attempt in 1980. Why am I bringing this up? At about the same time, so remember the Illinois Constitution passed, ratified in 1870. There were framers, or at least some early people here in Washington state that convened the first state constitutional convention in 1878. And you might think, hey, I did Pacific Northwest history. That was before we were a state. How could they do that? Well, in fact, that's right. They decided that they would go ahead and anticipate that they would become a state later on. So they created their own constitution. They had about 20-person constitutional convention, and they pretty much took exactly that same style of representation for Illinois because they thought, hey, we really need to think about who are the people in Washington state, and we don't want one party to just dominate all the representation. We want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table. And so they pretty much took that language. And so the first constitution that was framed, not ratified, framed in 1878 was multi-member districts, 3 members of the House per district with cumulative voting. Well, that ended up not becoming our constitution because it was still a number of years before Washington became a state. However, the framers who came back to propose the second constitution, the first one that was actually framed, they actually liked that idea. They said, you know, there is some wisdom in the idea that people really should have a say in the structures of elections because elections have consequences. They determine who's elected, what the agenda is, and what policies get passed. So let's, even though they didn't embrace the full blown version of semi-proportional representation, they actually wrote a constitution that made it very relatively easy for people in the future to come gather an organization and a movement and propose a major change. And so that is why the only language that is written into our current state constitution regarding the election of the state legislature only stipulates the ratio of senators to House members. And that ratio is between 1 senator and 2 House members, which is what we have now, and one senator and 3 House members. It does not say anything about the method of election. So as they were thinking about this back in the day, they wanted to remove as many barriers to people who really wanted to replace the current winner-take-all system with single-member districts with something that might be more robust. So what does this have to do with the work of FairVote Washington? We are literally, I guess that's a millennial thing, we are figuratively standing on the shoulders of these original framers. They, once again, believe that elections have consequences and that replacing a current system is incredibly important to the future of our state. And at the same time, in thinking about the time that they were doing all this work was at time of Reconstruction. We are actually now in a very similar period of deep reckoning with race and racism in our society. So as we celebrate our birthday today as FairVote Washington and as a board member of FairVote Washington, I'm really thrilled about what we've accomplished in a very short period of time. And I'm actually very encouraged about our willingness to not shy away from political power and to use it to advance the types of ideas that would really strengthen our democracy. And finally, our commitment runs deep in terms of building a democracy that ensures that everyone has a seat at the table, be they people of color, political minorities, or other people who have been shut out of the political process. So with that reflection, I'm really excited and energized to be part of this celebration, and I'll turn it back over to my colleague, Colin.
Thank you so much for that walkthrough. I think I'm continuously finding myself and others inspired and kind of surprised by the fact that Washington began with roots in proportional representation, and that, like you said, we really would be going back to the future. So with that, and the direction that we are heading in, which is effectively towards considering adopting ranked choice voting statewide, it's a good chance to introduce you to our organization and basically sort of our vision for the next couple of years. So throughout this event, you're gonna hear from a handful of FairVote Washington's staff, some of whom are full-time paid employees and some of whom are volunteer staff because of the size of our organization. You're gonna be hearing from Lisa Aro, our director, You're going to be hearing from our various chapter leads. You're going to hear from Mohit Nair, our partnerships director. You're going to hear from myself and Eli Schwanitz, our legislative team. And you're going to be hearing from Cassie and Tara doing community engagement, as well as getting to see throughout a bit of the work that Ben Chapman is doing through communications and social media. So to start us off, we're going to hand things over to Lisa to share a bit about the state of the organization. So Lisa, take it away.
Thank you, Colin. And thank you, George, for that historical retrospective. I want to bring us right to 2020. What a wild ride it has been this year. One of the great gifts for me of this past week, yes, a gift of this past week, has been getting re-inspired by the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How did she manage as a young, unknown lawyer to change the world? I read a lovely tribute to her by Linda Greenhouse, who observed the following. We all have goals, and we all encounter obstacles to accomplishing some of them, but only a few of us have the turn of mind to confront head-on the structural obstacles that stand in our way. What Ginsburg had, in addition to passion, skill, and a field marshal's sense of strategy, was imagination. She envisioned a world different from the one she'd grown up in, a better world in which gender was no obstacle to women's achievement. And then she set about to use the law to usher that world into existence. So tonight we'll celebrate and renew our own imagination for what a healthy democracy looks like. Civil, equitable, where voters have meaningful choices and powerful voices, where candidates find competitive races and need to appeal to voters beyond their narrow base in order to win with a broad majority of support. We have come together to build Fair Vote Washington and our movement for ranked choice voting. You will see tonight that in our second year, we've grown to every county and every legislative district in the state. That we've been incredibly fortunate to earn the support of organizations like the Washington Census Alliance and so many more. That we're enjoying the incredible support of a whole crop of interns who've just arrived to support us in this journey. So I think we're ready. And I say, here's to 2021. We're going to call in the, oh, I have to remember to share the sound. I did it. And here we go with a parade of chapters. If I can get this to, come on. Oh, good Lord. Why is that not behaving?
Pause for technical difficulties.
Pause for technical difficulties. You know what I'm going to do? I've never had this happen before quite, but let me just quickly.
This is also a running theme in 2020.
It is. Colin, this is your moment. You know what? You know what? This is very strange. I'm so sorry.
Can you do it?
You know, actually, if you wouldn't mind, Cassie, thank you very much. That's why we did the backup. Something funny happened there, and I don't know what it was.
Oh gosh, sorry, hold on. I was practicing my slide.
Thank you. Okay, parade of chapters. Let's see who is out there in Washington State. Fair Vote Washington, we have a county in Clark County.
Michael Martin, I'm guessing, should be speaking at the moment.
You know what? I wonder if he made it.
He's got it. He's got
it.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm here.
Great.
Hey everybody.
Michael, take it away.
Hey everybody. My name's Michael Martin. I'm the chapter lead for Clark County Chapter, And since you all can read the slide, I just want to tell you a short story. So I sit on the task force for council representation for the city of Vancouver, and we are looking at ways to increase representation that is more reflective of our community here in Vancouver. And I want to quote somebody who was initially not for ranked choice voting. This is what they said in the paper a few days ago. I really became a true fan of ranked choice voting, and I'm really hoping we can find a way to implement it. And so that will be a recommendation of our task force. So showing up and, being part of this chapter has just, made me feel inspired to kind of echo like what, we're standing on the shoulders of, like George said. So it's going well, and that's it. Yeah.
I also would be remiss if I didn't jump in here and highlight that Michael Martin is another candidate for local office running down in Clark County to be on the Charter Review Commission.
Thanks, Colin.
All right, howdy. Yeah, Michael Martin for Charter Review Commission. If you're in Clark County, support Michael's race. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Smith. I'm the chapter lead for our San Juan County chapter, and we may be a small chapter, but we are a mighty one. And you'll also get to hear some music from our talented Islanders later in this birthday bash. So look forward to that. We had a really good year. We started with a bunch of meet and greets. We did on San Juan and Orcas and Lopez Islands. There's some pictures there you can see from that. There's a lot of enthusiasm up here on the islands for ranked choice voting. And we also have an RCV champion running for our county council. So shout out to Ryan Palmatier, who is on this birthday bash today. If he's elected, when he is elected, we're hopeful that he'll be able to help lead the effort to bring RCV to our county elections. And our new FairVoteWa political committee, which we'll hear about later, has donated to his campaign. So he is one to watch this November. So we're really looking forward to what's coming up in our county and statewide. And to Colin's question about voting in other states, I actually joined FairVoteWa about 1.5 years ago because before moving back to Washington, I was lucky enough to be a part of bringing RCV to Maine, and I got to vote in the first statewide RCV election. So, and I'd love to ever talk to folks about that if they want to hear about it. But I'm confident that with all the great energy we have, we can bring it to Washington too. So thanks for being here, everyone.
Thank you. I know this is my part. So, hi everyone, my name's Cassie Allen. I'm actually the field director for FairVote Washington. I am not the North Central Washington chapter leads. That is because they are unable to make it tonight. But on behalf of Karen and also another Cassie in Wenatchee, I would like to introduce the North Central Washington chapter. They are actually one of our newest chapters, started less than a month ago with their first meeting September 17th. And they actually had about 10 chapter members for their first meeting, which is a really great place to start. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the area, and we had some great people from Yakima too that joined that chapter meeting. We're also interested in having another chapter in Yakima. So there's a lot going on there. They're passionate and they want to build a team of engaged people from across the political spectrum to start educating community members, neighbors, and elected officials. And so if you have anyone in the North Central Washington area, Wenatchee, beyond, Yakima, any around there, please tell them to join the North Central Washington chapter. I'm sure they will have a great time doing it.
That's us. Happy birthday, FairVote Washington. I put on a hat for you and my sparkly shirt and my a jacket with lapels. And Colin, I have to say, it's so fun to see you not in a tie. I'm just loving this party. What's hottest on our plate right now is we are trying to keep up with Bellingham and Vancouver to work with our city council. We would like to get them to pass a resolution on the local options bill, supporting it. And it's a good time because our city is cracked open right now in the wake of dealing with our legacy of racism around this country. And also Sam Hunt is our state senator, who's also the chair of the State Government Relations and Tribal Relations Committee. So wish us well.
Data?
All right, hello everyone. I'm Data Logan. It may interested in just the dynamics of people
Oh,
and
Data,
how do you be part of a group.
Data, you cut out for your whole intro, but we can hear you and see you now.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry about that. You know, I'm just relating in my life how, you know, I've learned that we have many different people in the world and many different walks of life. And I'm really passionate about finding a way where people, you know, of diverse backgrounds and thoughts and communities can come together. And so that's a big part of why I became really passionate about ranked choice voting, especially the multi-winner proportional version of it, also called single transferable vote. And that's a big passion of mine. And I felt for a long time like I was alone in that. And it's great to see this organization really come along and over the last couple of years and grow the way it has. And I'm very excited about that. Even in Kitsap County, when I started the chapter there, a year and a half ago, I think we had 2 people. And now we got people coming in and helping out, Dr. Mark and Suzanne and everybody. And we're very excited to continue this effort going forward. And next, I believe we're going to talk about coalition building with Mohit.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks so much, Data. Hi, everyone. My name is Mohit Nair, and I'm the Partnerships Director of FairVote Washington. I'll say that one of my favorite things about where our movement stands today is the diversity and strength of our partner organizations. We've been very intentional and mindful about reaching out to underrepresented communities, in particular, community-based organizations, labor unions, faith-based communities, and other existing coalitions just across the state of Washington and beyond. We've launched a multiracial, multi-generational coalition of community groups called Washington for Equitable Representation. All of us are passionate about equitable representation using ranked choice voting in single winner and multi-winner forms, and we're all about harnessing the power of community to fight for equitable representation. I want to point out that a lot of you have helped drive this process. In November last year, Robert Poor and I met with the director of Faith Action Network in a small coffee shop out in Airport Way South. Today, Faith Action Network, a diverse coalition of over 150 faith-based communities, has endorsed and joined our coalition. I also see Alice is on this call. She's going to be the representative from Faith Action Network, and I'm really excited to welcome her here. Kelsey Monaco, our new partnerships intern, has been an organizational wizard who's been actively inviting labor participation in the coalition, including from Spokane Regional Labor Council, MLK Labor, and Snohomish County Labor Council. Trenton Miller has been leading our partnerships work out in Spokane with the City Council and working in collaboration with our team to reach out to groups like the Spokane Coalition of Color. Zachary and Michelle, both of whom are on this call, have been leading the movement among educators. There are so many more examples. In the past several months, we've seen so many partners come on board and bring others into this movement. Just this week, the League of Women Voters of Washington endorsed and joined our coalition. Washington Census Alliance has adopted ranked choice voting as a major priority area moving forward, and they've actually brought all of their partner organizations to come on board and even organized a soft launch for us. We have the Urban League, APACE, India Association of Western Washington, More Equitable Democracy, and many others taking center stage. Earlier this year, Lisa Collin and I were presenting at a Senate State Government Elections and Tribal Relations Committee work session on the merits of ranked choice voting. And just as we were exiting the building, we came across Mustafa Muhammad Ali, the board secretary of Islamic Center of Olympia. He approached us and invited us to come back to Olympia the very next day to speak to his congregation. These are the connections that make up our movement and that grow our coalition. Over the next year, we're hoping to grow our coalition and build an even broader movement of other members from geographically diverse groups, ranging from conservatives to business groups and educators. I'm so excited to see where this journey takes us, and I'd like to now invite Zachary, one of our leading educators in this movement, to speak about the ways in which we're empowering educators to bring ranked choice voting into the classroom and make it a statewide priority for education associations.
Thanks so much, Mohit. So I'm Zachary McCauley. I am an educator in the Federal Way Public Schools District. I recently got involved with FairVote this summer, so pretty recently, and it just felt like a natural development in working with Mohit and others to start trying to spread this out and get educators involved. In schools, it's just makes sense that educators would be on board with ranked choice voting because we see the needs of the students and families in our state. We know how when democracy is not functioning, how it affects families and students of color disproportionately and families who are living in poverty. We understand that equity and fairness in democracy is vital because that is, we see that in our classrooms and schools as well. And we know that when democracy is not working by not having engagement and voter engagement and really buying into the process, we know from our classrooms that that lack of engagement really undermines the whole process. So it's really important that we fix democracy, and we start here in Washington. We just started up with the Educators for Ranked Choice Voting group this summer, and we're already reaching across the state with different districts and excited to keep this going. Some things we plan to do are to help bring teachers and education associations or teacher unions into the Washington for Equitable Representation Coalition. It just is a natural fit that we can use these in our schools, in our classrooms. We can use ranked choice voting in our education associations to make decisions about how to run our associations. And it's a natural fit for us to also support this for the whole state because it benefits everyone. So I'm really happy to be a part of that, and looking forward to really getting that going and getting all districts around the state supporting this statewide. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Kit Ullman.
Thanks, Zachary. I'm Kit Muehlman. I'm with the Whatcom Chapter. And as you've probably noticed, ranked choice voting is getting more attention in the media, more attention than ever these days. And we have a lot of energy in our membership to write letters and op-eds locally. And to help with that, we have an excellent LTE letter to the editor and op-ed workshop on our FairVote Washington YouTube channel. So at one of our FairVote Whatcom meetings, we asked members who are interested in writing to put their names in the chat, and our Whatcom LTE and op-ed group was born. And it's Carol Sullivan, Minda Ray Amarin, and me with Mohit's guidance. And we have had one meeting so far, one editing meeting, and Minda Ray Amarin's LTE was published in the Bellingham Herald. And I want to spotlight some other letters by volunteers. Ken Damon in the Everett Herald Online, Stacy Hendrickson in the Seattle Times, John Whitmer in the Cascadia Weekly. Trenton Miller has an op-ed in the Spokane Spokesman Review right here. And Stony Bird has written 3 op-eds for the Whatcom Watch. Apologies for all that I've left out. I know Colin Cole has some out there, and there's probably more. So we want to present workshops to groups formed by county chapters to help train more people to write op-eds and letters to the editor so that members are ready to respond to news items quickly and effectively. And our goal is to submit 1 LTE per month per chapter. And now we'll continue the chapter parade with the Spokane chapter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Trenton Miller from one of the leads of the Spokane chapter. One of the reasons I got really involved with ranked choice voting is I'm very frustrated with the hyper-partisan nature of our current political system. And over here in Eastern Washington, we get a lot of people who are frustrated or disappointed with both of the two major political parties. And so we're really trying to make that case that ranked choice voting brings greater diversity in political or physical representation, and it's just a more inclusive system overall. Some of the big stuff we accomplished this last year, we gave a lot of presentations and talks to other community organizations and groups that are also involved in this type of work, as well as the Spokane City Council. So that was really great. And then we're really hoping this next year to try and expand our activist base so I can spread around some of the work and responsibilities, and we can really get a wider berth here, not just in Spokane, but the whole Eastern Washington region. I will pass it on to the Snohomish chapter.
There we go. Hi, I'm Diane Gordon. I'm with the Snohomish County Chapter. And my co-lead, who couldn't be here tonight, Shai Benaderet, was the one who created the bingo game. I hope you've all taken a look at that and are working on it. We are new, and our second meeting will be October 10th. And at that meeting, we're going to have a training on the upcoming Fair Vote Washington legislative initiatives. So that's going to be an interesting meeting if you'd like to join us. So we're excited about getting our chapter going and expanding and creating a lot of outreach. So now we'll go on to the next one.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex Semino-Hurt. I'm a chapter lead for the Skagit County Chapter. Similarly, we are a very recent chapter, a baby chapter. We just had our first meeting on September 3rd, so we're still getting going. But our next baby steps, and we're excited to take them, are really to engage local service organizations. There are a lot of different organizations in the Valley that are just doing good work, and I think they'd be very interested in also joining our ranked choice voting movement here. And then we're going to be building connections with a number of organizations, including, say, some of our news organizations like the Skagit County Herald, to put the word out there and to write some letters to the editor, let people really know and learn about what ranked choice voting can offer. And then, of course, the final thing they're going to be working on, and maybe more immediate, is reaching out to local officials to advocate. The Skagit County Auditor, the Mount Vernon Mayor, who is one of the maybe a key person for us to reach out to, given the upcoming events that are happening with approval of ranked choice voting, and then of course current 2020 candidates. So that's all I have, and I'd love to pass it on to Whatcom County.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm one of the co-leads at Whatcom County. We are proud to have a very active chapter. We have reached hundreds of people through our many tabling and ranking events. COVID paused our usual in-person activities, but we've gotten a lot of help from the state organization, and we've pivoted to online action and social events, and we've been able to continue our outreach in that way. We are looking forward to using our chapter strength to support ranked choice voting legislation that's coming up in 2021, and to help gather signatures when we kind of inevitably need a ballot initiative. So we're very excited for the next year.
Thank you. And now we're passing on to King County, who I believe will not be speaking, but will show this incredible video that they've decided to make. And here we go. Please tell me if you can't hear it.
From rural to suburban, South King County.
Up through Seattle, the King County chapter has been busy.
When the pandemic hit, the South King County chapter had just gotten started. We quickly moved online and joined forces with Seattle for a unified King County chapter. Together, we've published letters to the editor and reached out to dozens of candidates. Recently, our combined meetings have tripled in size.
And with over 2,000 supporters in the county, we look forward to building out our teams in the year to come.
Thank you, King County. Let's hear from our legislative team.
Yeah, hi there, I'm Eli Schwanitz. I'm the legislative intern, and along with Colin Cole, we head up the wonderful legislative team. And I'd like to share with you a little story about how far we've come in the legislature in just these few years. In 2018, for the first time, we introduced a ranked choice voting bill to the Washington State Legislature. This was, of course, our local options bill, the one that would allow cities, counties, fire districts, all those other local jurisdictions to use ranked choice voting. And when we introduced this, we had 15 co-sponsors in the House, which is a good number for a first-year bill, but we could definitely improve. And this year, we were not able to introduce a partner bill in the Senate. In 2019, 1 year later, we had nearly twice as many co-sponsors in the House, over a third of the House Democratic caucus. We also introduced a Senate bill this year with a number of passionate co-sponsors on board. Also in 2019, with the help of Mia Gregerson, who's our prime sponsor in the House, we called a public hearing on the local options bill. And this resulted in a great vibrant discussion. It pulled in community members, legislators, and even a couple of experts who had worked on ranked choice voting in Minneapolis, who had come all the way down to share how well ranked choice voting had worked for them and how it could work for Washington. What a huge difference in just this 1 year between 2018 and 2019. And only 1 more year later, our momentum continues to grow. This summer, we are so proud to recognize 42 candidates from 3 different parties, all of whom support RCV and all of whom will be on the November ballot running for our state legislature. We've put together this coalition of vibrant challengers and well-respected incumbents, and they all stand ready to help us make RCV happen in 2021. So how did this happen? Just one example that I like to share. In the last month, I happened to spot an op-ed in the Yakima Nation's newspaper. It was written on how we could improve our districting system here in Washington. And it was written by an Eastern Washington candidate named Dr. Tracy Russian. She's a newcomer to politics and a first-time candidate, but she's passionate about these issues of baking equity into our democratic systems. So we connected to talk with her about ranked choice voting, and she was the best audience we could have asked for, and she's enthusiastically on board. She's already taken steps to help us reach out to supporters in the Yakima area and spread the word to places we haven't been able to reach yet. This is just one of many great conversations we've been able to have this summer, and as long as we can keep it going, we are this close to making RCV happen in 2021.
And if you haven't sort of gotten the hint from our chapter lead highlight here from all of our chapters in the state, local initiatives really are a big part of the heart of the work that we do. Although a lot of focus is on the Washington State Legislature, every city council and county commission throughout Washington is its own legislature where we actually have the potential to advance reform. And this isn't just something that we technically can do. This is really important for us to be able to advance the work that we're doing. Essentially, the work that we do at the local level is what drives our ability to succeed at the state level. And it's through growing these chapters and growing our movements around the state that lets legislators at the state level know that this is actually a real thing that people actually want, that isn't just theoretical, and it's not just something from Cambridge, Massachusetts. To highlight 2 specific successful examples from recent history, first I'll just mention again briefly the City of Vancouver's Task Force on Redistricting that Michael Martin brought up. We've been talking with that group since either January or December of either this year or last year. And as a result of those conversations, they will be recommending to the City of Vancouver that they look to adopt some form of ranked choice voting to improve representation on City Council. But the work there actually even started a year and a half prior when, due to the work of some of our folks like Michael Martin, members of the Vancouver City Council decided to write testimony into the state legislature encouraging them to support the local options bill. And it's because of the support of elected officials at the local level that some of the holdout votes at the state legislative level got convinced and decided, you know what, actually this is important. And, I like, Councilmember Ty Stover. I guess I'm going to give this another thought. We also, thanks to the incredible work of the Whatcom County team, got the city of Bellingham to pass a resolution, not just encouraging the state of Washington to pass the local options bill for ranked choice voting, but even going so far as to say that they'd probably like to use ranked choice voting if they had the option. And it's this kind of work that has led the Association of Washington Cities, which is a collaboration of city organizations throughout the state, to consider making ranked choice voting one of their priorities for the 2021 legislative session. And so this is the work at the local level that might feel 1 or 2 steps removed from the state level advocacy that we're doing, but it really isn't. And I'm going to let Eli talk a bit about some of the other opportunities that we're currently working on in this same realm.
Yeah, so Colin mentioned the exciting developments in Bellingham, and hot on the heels of the folks up there, we also have efforts on the ground in Port Angeles, Spokane, and Olympia, all pursuing similar things, a testimony from their city council in favor of ranked choice voting and in favor of the local options bill. And we are super excited about these movements, very optimistic, and a tremendous thanks to the chapters that are taking those on. The great news also is that every town in Washington is a potential opportunity for us to do the same. Any town that you live in across the state, we would love it if you could jump on board and help us get a movement like this started within your city council. Every city counts, and every additional voice that we can add to the heap saying, we would like to use ICV, please just let us know and we'll be there to support you. I would also be remiss, I know Liz brought this up earlier in her San Juan County slide, but Ryan Palmetier, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thank you so much for the work that you are doing for ranked choice voting. He is a candidate running for county council up in San Juan County. And San Juan County is one of the very few counties in the state where actually ranked choice voting can be used right now before the local options bill is passed. Ryan is an outspoken champion. We really could not ask for a better person to be running and taking up the mantle of ICV in that district. We are so pleased that we were able to put some PAC money into his race. Hopefully we can help him get elected. And if he does, I think it's very possible that we will see ranked choice voting in San Juan County in the very near future. Next slide for me, please, Cassie. Thank you. Back in the Olympia legislature, we are very optimistic about the prospects of the local options bill for next year. And while local options would be a huge step towards better elections, it's also just one tiny piece of what is possible. This year, we're also super excited to be fighting for bigger, bolder changes, like one bill we're introducing that would allow us to use ranked choice voting for presidential primaries, so that we don't have a repeat of when we discarded nearly 1 in 4 ballots that Washingtonians cast in our Democratic presidential primary this year. We're introducing other bills as well, one that would allow us to elect state offices like governor and secretary of state with ranked choice voting, and another one for congressional elections so that we can make sure the senators and representatives we send to the other Washington are elected with ranked choice voting here in our state.
And the prospects for these bills is actually pretty good. The local options bill, it's going to be the 4th year it's been considered at the state legislature and its 3rd legislative session. And there's a truism in Washington state politics that a bill needs to be considered for at least 3 sessions before it has a reasonable chance of getting passed. And we've now met that metric, which is a bit arbitrary, but more importantly, the number of supporters has grown. Actually, it was more than half of the state Democratic caucus, including the Speaker of the House, Lori Jenkins, that co-sponsored us in the last year. And since then, we've had a number of new supporters come on board, new members of the state legislature come on board, and we've finally, after a few years of trying, started to gain some actual significant bipartisan support in the state legislature. And so the odds of us getting through the 2021 legislature, especially based on the number of legislators who have committed to making this a priority for 2021, are really high. We also have been doing a lot of work on the Senate side. Just recently, in the last couple of weeks, 3 new Democratic senators who are all in caucus leadership, who control the state Senate, have come aboard to support ranked choice voting, which is great. But there's also still more work to do. There's still more legislators who are on the fence, who we need to convince and persuade to come aboard. There's still more work that we can do to make sure that we can get these other ranked choice voting bills passed, which haven't had as much time to be considered. And that's a big part of where you come in. Not just doing that local work that I've been talking about, but doing the chapter work that all of the incredible presentations here have focused on, connecting organizations that you're involved with to MOHIT and the partnerships team, and helping to basically build the case for ranked choice voting. That's a lot that's still to get done, and it's very feasible to get done. In fact, one of the Senate leaders that we spoke to told us that even though it's the first year the presidential primary thing is going to be considered, that presidential primary problem we had last March was so salient, and they got so many calls about it, that it might actually be able to get passed next year if we build enough of a base and mobilize well enough. So that's really exciting. As far as those other 2 bills, bringing ranked choice voting to our congressional seats and to our state offices like governor and state legislator, the odds of those passing aren't as great. The state legislature probably doesn't want to change the rules that they got elected under to help themselves have a potentially more difficult time to get elected under a new system. But the work that we're going to do on that is going to lay the groundwork for a state initiative down the road, because whatever we get considered is going to be the framework that we're then able to talk about. And we're going to get legislators and elected officials and senior officials on the record about what they think about ranked choice voting and why they do or don't like it. So we're really on a long road here that may end up, we're going to have a series of victories along the way, but November 2022 is certainly on all of our horizons. And to get there, I'm going to let Cassie talk a bit about the community engagement that's the real heart of making all of this other stuff possible.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate it. So hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra Allen. I'm FairVote Washington's field director, and I'll be talking to you about community engagement. But before I get to that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and about my experience working with FairVote Washington. So I first heard about RCV in college, and at the time, I thought if only we were doing this in the United States, then we could become a country not marked by partisan politics, but representative of the diverse nuances in beliefs, values, and identities that is actually what our country is made of. Later, I graduated college, moved to Washington, and in the midst of my job search, I stumbled upon an organization that was advocating for the very reform that I felt could make an essential difference in our country's politics. Since becoming FairVote Washington's field director, I've had the privilege of working with so many incredible people from all walks of life and from every political background imaginable. FairVote Washington is not just a community of ranked choice voting advocates. We are liberals, conservatives, independents, parents, teachers, policy wonks, looking at you, Colin, and so much more. Together, we make up a vast and rapidly growing movement seeking expanded choices, common ground, and better representation during a particularly divisive time in our country. This has not been easy. We are a small team of only 2 full-time employees, several part-time staff, and a dedicated team of volunteer leaders. Lisa, God bless her, is still a volunteer. But we've been very scrappy with our resources and have accomplished a lot in these last 2 years. From my end of things, we have educated Washingtonians at fairs, festivals, farmers markets, from Seattle to Spokane and Vancouver to Bellingham. And since COVID has limited some of our in-person engagement, we've kept our outreach flowing by holding RCV 101 events and advocacy webinars, along with special events designed to deepen our supporters' understanding of RCV. All of our efforts have grown our base of supporters from just under 1,000, where it was 2 years ago when I was first hired, to over 7,000 supporters today. We are the people building the ranked choice voting movement in Washington. All of you here today, you are the people building the movement for ranked choice voting in Washington. And all of the time and effort that we are put in gets us closer and closer to making RCV a reality. So in 2021, we will continue to build our organizational capacity so we can advocate for the passage of historic RCV legislation and ultimately to pass a statewide ballot initiative in 2022. And mark my words, we will be successful. And as members of the RCV movement, each one of you will have a direct impact on making this happen, which is a great place to segue into talking about how you can make a difference. So you've heard about the legislative and partnerships teams, and now I want to let you know a little bit about our community engagement team. The purpose of our team is to build a base of supporters through outreach, keep those people engaged, and mobilize supporters to take advocacy actions for ranked choice voting. You'll hear more about some of the ways in which we're doing that in just a second, but first I will introduce the co-lead for the community engagement team and one of our newest organizing interns, Tara. Wherever you are, Tara.
Hi, my name is Tara Zulfagari. My fellow intern could not make it tonight. Her name is Yasmin RF. But when I learned, I'm fairly young, but I really wanted to get involved in ranked choice voting because when I learned about it, I realized how important it is to get involved into this because it'll make a better future for my generation, a better democracy. And it's just so important. And it's really rewarding to be involved and just see all your hard work pay off and eventually implementing ranked choice voting in Washington. And I really am looking forward to meeting and working with everyone. And I'm just really excited. So back to you, Cassie.
Thank you, Tara. I appreciate it. And now I want us to actually hear from someone who is one of our really dedicated volunteers, Caroline Sayer, who's going to talk about one of the ways in which you can involve, which is at our supporter engagement party. Caroline, if you could unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Sayer, and I've been volunteering for the supporter engagement parties for the last 2 months. Participating in the RCV parties by phone has been really great. I can work at home, it fits my schedule, and the Zoom team of volunteers and staff makes the work for me really meaningful and supportive. We've got a great team. I have to say I was a little bit intimidated at first with an unfamiliar script and not sure what to say and what people were going to say on the other end. But in fact, I've had some really rewarding and enthusiastic conversations with people. The energy is there. And so it was really easy for me to overcome my fear that I initially had. And so after many weeks of volunteering, I have no plans to stop anytime soon. I'm hoping that other folks will join me, and we've got a very passionate team. And so if you're interested, put your name in the chat and we'll get you connected. It's been great. Thanks.
Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate that. And I'm actually going to take 1 second here. So we have a legislative team led by Colin, Cole, and Eli. We have a partnerships team led by Mohit and some of his interns. And I am leading a community engagement team you just heard about. If any of these teams sound interesting to you and you would like to join them, put your name in the chat. All you have to put is like legislative, partnerships, or community engagement. And Tara will follow up with you after this and we'll get you connected to the volunteer team that you want to be a part of. All you have to do is post partnerships, legislative, or community engagement. I better see a ton of posts in there, so go at it. And without further ado, I'm also going to turn over to our Ranked Choice Voting 101 team.
Hi, that's Kit and I. Hi, my name is Jessie Post, and Kit is my RCV 101 team member. And we have webinars about every 10 days, and we give people an overview about what ranked choice voting is. And we also we really focus on how it can improve our democracy and how it can, be a fix for a lot of the systemic problems and have a positive impact. And what's really great is we also have a chance at the end to answer questions. And I think this is a great resource for people who are interested and maybe have read an article and would actually like to have a conversation with someone about ranked choice voting and have a moment to ask some questions. We too are hoping to find some new volunteers. And so if you're interested in joining the Ranked Choice Voting 101 team, if you love to talk to people about ranked choice voting, yeah, we'd love to train you up. So I see some people in the chat. Hooray! Yes, I would love to onboard some people. And if you also know an organization, some of the ones we do are just public and they're on our website and people sign up. But we are also trying to get more where it's for like a specific club or org. We've done them before, like a Kiwanis club. That would be a great thing to do. So if you can think of an organization that might be interested in learning about ranked choice voting and would host us we have a 15-minute and a half-hour version of our presentation, we'd love to talk to them and introduce ranked choice voting and answer any questions they have. We also have a poll that I'm sure everybody here has heard about that is an animal that would be sort of a Fair Vote Washington mascot. And I believe Kit just posted the link here. So we've got 5 different choices. A platypus could teach us how to think outside the box. A meerkat is all about community. They work together and they recognize each other. Beavers keep systems running smoothly. The orcas show us that caring is universal, and sea stars show us that competition is healthy. So go ahead and just take a minute, go and fill in that poll. So click on the link in the chat and fill in your poll there, and we'll give everybody a minute to do that. I also want to vote. And then we'll come back and we'll have our little RCV.
Yeah, so this is an everyone participates moment, and hopefully that that link will load for you reasonably quickly. It's a live election. And so the platypus, an outside the box mammal. If a platypus can have retractable webbing, then surely we can have more than one choice for who we want to vote for in an election. Meerkats are social animals who work together. They recognize each other's voices. The industrious beaver is cooperative and non-aggressive. It builds a dam, its own home that creates a pond and benefits other kinds of fish and forest edges and thirsty animals. Taliqua is the mother orca who through great courage and determination raised the awareness of the world. And the C-star is not bilaterally symmetrical like our two-party system, but instead it's radially symmetrical with 5 arms, representing the variety of options available to voters in a ranked choice voting election. So, let's see if I can't tell if people are done. Let's see, maybe I go to the
Numbers are still ticking up every couple seconds.
Great, thank you.
I see we've got 24 votes so far. Or no.
Oh.
Sorry, that's wrong. I was looking at the wrong thing.
I believe we're currently at 53 votes, which is almost everyone here. We just have another 23 to go.
All right, give people another maybe 30 seconds.
There was a question in the chat about how we vote, if someone wants to touch on that.
Oh.
Yes, okay, there's
Click the link.
way back up there is the, I'll put it in again, the link.
I just reposted it. So click that link that's RCV tally, and then it'll take you to your ballot, and then you just rank your choices. You click on your first through 5th choice, and the nice thing about the software is it also forces you to vote in a way that doesn't, double count or you can't vote for the same thing twice. You can't vote for 2 first choices. It forces you to do it correctly.
So look at here.
We're up to 60 people here, yeah.
There you go.
Great.
So if when you're done, you could all come back to Zoom and Kit will
Still
share.
moving.
We'll go through this together.
Yeah. Okay, so can everyone see my screen at round 1, the birthday bash mascot? So it looks like the votes are fairly well distributed. Oh, there's another vote just came in. And so this is a ranked choice election with 5 candidates. And you can see the candidate that you voted for, your first choice there, and imagine that you're standing on that line. Does anyone have a majority? No, Tahlequah is ahead with 27%, but this line, this green dotted line on the right here is the mark that someone would need to pass to get 50%. So in a ranked choice election, if no one gets 50% on the first round, we're going to eliminate the last place candidate, which is the platypus. Sorry, platypus. So the platypus is the purple, the purple line. And so those purple voters are going to get their second choice. So I'm going to click the arrow and we'll see where the purple voters go to. Ooh, they like the odd ones though. So you can see, see, 1 vote went to orca, 7 went to beaver, and 2 went to meerkat. So even though beaver's ahead now, we still don't have a majority. And we're going to eliminate the last choice candidate, the last place candidate, which is now the C-star with 12 votes. And now the blue votes will go somewhere else. So if you were, C-star was your candidate, you get to see where those votes go. Oh my, look at that. Okay, they were distributed amongst all 3 of the other candidates. We're still not up to 50%, so we're going to go to round 4. And the people who have meerkat as their top choice now will get to decide the election. Oh my gosh, it's a squeaker. It's just a squeaker, isn't it? Well, beaver they're not telling me how many votes there are now. Why doesn't it tell me how many votes? Oh, there it is. It's over there on the right. Beaver has over 50% with 31.5 votes.
I think it's 32 votes.
Okay, good. Mine says 31.5, which doesn't make any sense. And Tahlequah has 31 votes, so that looks like it would be 32 votes. And by 1 vote margin, Beaver made 50%, over 50% for our mascot poll. Any comments, anybody?
I mean, I see the chat's blowing up here. Everyone's sad when their candidate was eliminated.
Oh.
That was like a perfect example of how it should go. I mean, it was suspense.
Yeah, and Tahlequah Orca was ahead on the first round, but if it had been an election between Orca and Beaver, Beaver would win. So there we are. Thank you, everybody, for participating. So, and now on to Colin.
Yeah, and actually, so one thing to mention real quickly to Bill Dole's comment, there it is, I was looking for it, would there be 4 rounds in an election with candidates running? So yeah, what you just saw is exactly how we could do it, and it's exactly how they do it in Minneapolis and Oakland and Santa Fe and a bunch of other U.S. cities. Although something that you may not be aware of is that we actually put out a call for nominations for what our animals of choice should be a while ago. And we had so many submissions that we realized it was actually too many to fit on our one little debate stage here, and that so many animals would only get 1 or 2 votes that would kind of be administratively difficult to run. So one thing that we did is something that is in the local options bill before the legislature, which is we had a winnowing top 5 primary that we sent out to our email list. And the top 5 candidates were those 5 that we were deciding on today. So what you've participated in is exactly actually one of the options that we have before the Washington state legislature. So that's pretty exciting. And I'll if there's more stuff going in the chat, we can talk about that in a minute. But I guess sort of to what this brings us all to is that the work that we're doing here is really important, and the people in the room have really helped make it possible. So big thanks to everyone for being here. I'd like to invite Cindy Black to unmute and join me here. Cindy was there basically from the very beginning of FairVote Washington and has been a big part of helping us succeed. She's the executive director of Fix Democracy First. And I'm hoping, Cindy, I don't actually see you, but might be an issue with my camera, that you can help us celebrate our birthday today.
Yes, I can see you and I am here. Yes, I've had the privilege to work with and support FairVote Washington pretty much from the beginning. It's been getting almost 4 years now, starting in its infancy back at the beginning of 2017. It's really been amazing to watch the organization grow and become a real force for RCV in the state. I would say one of the best things I did for the organization was to recruit Lisa Aero to be the chair, who is now the director. So I think that was one of the best things I did for the organization. In 2018, FairVote Washington became official, and here we are celebrating its 2nd birthday. It's my honor to wish them a very happy birthday. Hopefully we won't have to celebrate too many more of these, because RCV will become a reality in the state. So I'm gonna light a couple of candles here. I want everybody to make a wish. I wonder what you're going to wish for. So let's make a wish. Happy birthday, FairVote.
Happy birthday, FairVote.
And I get to eat the cupcakes.
and so I want you to think about whatever wish that was that you just came up with, hopefully for FairVote and not selfishly for your own purposes. And know that we almost certainly want to achieve your wish too, everyone who's on this call today. And that to get it done is going to take a lot of work. You've heard a couple times tonight that we actually have 2 full-time staff and then a bunch of part-time staff and some volunteers, including Lisa, who full-time is volunteering as the director of this organization. To get where we want to go in November of 2022, 2 full-time staff isn't going to cut it. We're going to have statewide staff. And we've grown incredibly over the last 2 years. Going to 2 employees from 0 is quite a bit, but we have to continue that effort. And so I'm going to hope that everyone who's in the chat tonight who really wants to see the dream and the wish that you just blow up that candle for come true is going to be able to make a financial contribution to FairVote Washington to help us make that wish come true. We really need your support to do it. Again, the link's in the chat there. If you can give any amount, first of all, that's amazing. Even if it's just $1. Hopefully you can give more than $1. But if you can also give on a recurring amount, again, even if it's really small, that makes a big difference, because when we are going to pursue support from philanthropic foundations that support nonprofit organizations, it helps to show how large our membership base is and how committed our members are. And having a large email list, that's something, but having a list of people who are actually committed to making ongoing financial contributions, even in small amounts, is really one of the metrics that can help us get the kind of fundraising done that can help us grow as an organization. And if you happen to be blessed with excessive wealth disorder and you wanted to make a sizable contribution, that would be even more incredible. The other thing to ask for, and Brett actually just touched on this, is if you can't give money, we really ask that you give your time. There's a bunch of different volunteer teams, a bunch of different ways that you can get involved and actually help us accomplish our missions. And your time is really valuable. We would not have gotten the Vancouver City Councilor to write in favor of ranked choice voting, or the task force to start considering it, if Michael hadn't been able to generously donate his time down in Clark County. And that work is so critical to the work that we're doing. So I'm going to give you at least 2 options here. And one is please donate to us financially. But if you can't do that, that's okay. But then you got to pick a volunteer team and post it in the chat. We've got more than 70 people in here, and I'm pretty sure I only saw 4 or 5 people pick a volunteer team. So if you're not making a financial contribution, you got to pick them. You got to pick a team. Got to at least write 1 letter to the editor, or at least bring us 1 organization to present to, because that'll really go a long ways to helping us make that wish come true. Now, finally, I'd like to hand the reins over to Sharon Abro. I actually accidentally gave her the wrong last name earlier, and Mike Hurwitz, who have written a song for our birthday, and I am really excited for you all to hear it, and for me to hear it too. So Sharon and Mike, take it away, please. And Sharon and Mike, if you're here, we're not hearing you yet. You might be muted still. I will note.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think we're here.
Hello.
Are we back now?
You're back. You're great.
Oh, good. I'm sorry.
Just had to push one little button. Hi, yeah, so we are Sharon Abreu and Michael Hurwitz on Orcas Island, the Earthlings duo. Big fans of FairVote Washington and ranked choice voting, and here's our tribute. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Ranked choice voting, RCV, RCV. Ranked choice voting, RCV, RCV. It's the way I want it to be. It's good for democracy. RCV lets me be me. I used to have to pick just one. I gotta say it wasn't fun. Felt so bad when I was done. It weighed on me a ton, my son. But RCV lets me be me. Now I don't want to split the vote. I just want a little hope. No more evils, less or more. Time to even out the score. You can vote your conscience. Here's a way. You won't throw your vote away. With RCV, you can safely say who you really want to win the day. You can have your say. Never throw your vote away, or help elect somebody who's totally, absolutely, and completely not okay. voting, RCV is here. More choice, more voice. Time to make some noise for RCV. Here we go. Representation, it can be proportional with equity. A simple improvement in the way we vote. Help democracy stay afloat. You can rank your choices 1, 2, 3 on your ballot easily in the order you decreed. That's why we need RCV. Oh, first choice, second choice, third choice, vote. Ranked choice voting, RCV, RCV. Ranked choice voting, RCV, RCV. It's the way I want it to be. It's good for democracy. Oh, RCV lets me be me. Woo! So let's all support RCV. Ranked choice voting. Yeah!
Yeah! Everyone should unmute for at least a second. That was amazing. Thank you both so much for that. And hopefully, actually not even hopefully, I know that with the group that we've assembled here today and all of the work that we're going to be putting in, we'll be listening to that song hopefully live on election night in November of 2022 as a victory celebration for our successful ballot initiative. That's incredible. Once again, I'm gonna paste that donation link in the chat in case you missed it before. Sharon and Mike, that was incredible. That was so much fun. I definitely want to get a recording of that to share and post around. This has been amazing. Thank you to everybody who showed up and came out and for being here. We could not do this without you. Truly, literally, not being, overly generous. The people on this call are the reason that we've seen the success we've seen the last 2 years and are going to be the reason that we see more success in the next 2 years. So thank you all for being here. I'm not kicking you out. If you want to stay and chat and participate in the chat or in a live chat, you're more than welcome to. But that's it for our programming tonight. Really happy to have you all here and can't wait to see you all someday in person with ranked choice voting reality in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you to Lisa and Colin and the whole team who put this together. I think this is a really great event. So thank you everyone who contributed to this.
That's thank you, Charlotte. Lisa, were you about to say something?
No, well, I was just going to say, let's hand it back to our board to really appreciate all the board members who are, many of them on this call, who work very behind the scenes, making it possible for us to raise the funds and have all the legal infrastructure and just to have the foundation of a strong, robust organization that's going to be around not only to get ranked choice voting onto the ballot, but to be there for the next several years as the inevitable pushback comes, because we know this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. But thanks to our board members and all of you, what a wonderful celebration. Many, many thanks to everybody here tonight.